Hey, what's up guys? It's your girl Kia, and I'm finally back from the video. I've also recorded this video like 4 times trying to get my thoughts together. So on my ride back home from picking up Sunday lunch for my family, I am going to record my thoughts on what's going on with the Joe Budden podcast and Rory and Mal. First things first, white car, you better see this gigantic truck. It's insane. Anyway, first things first, Joe has always said that he is for the creators. That kind of, you know, F the corporation, they don't respect the creators. He respects the creators and wants them to always have a platform. I think when he was with Spotify, he had some goofy title of CEO of creativity. I don't know, it was something stupid like that. And he's always been for the creators. With what's going on with Rory and Mal, it shows that that is just a really cool slogan that he has, that he's actually not for the creators. Because whether anybody likes it or not, Rory and Mal are content creators. They are content creators on the Joe Budden podcast. They have helped create and cultivate the content for that show. And if it wasn't for Rory and Mal being a part of that show, they would not maybe, no scratch it, they wouldn't have the viewership that they have or the listenership that they have. Let me fix this. No one wants to listen to just Joe. I get it. Joe Budden let's be honest, he was a one-hit wonder. He had one giant popular song. He was on Love and Hip Hop. That's really Joe's claim to fame. Joe is not selling out arenas because of his music. I'm not going to run to go see a Joe Budden concert. I'm going to sit there for like one song that everybody knows, and then his Rage Against the Machine albums, and maybe a couple other songs that I don't even know. People aren't drawn to him because of just Joe. He does well in kind of an ensemble cast. When he was on Everyday Struggle, it worked because it was 2 other people. And he seems to think now that it's all about him as the creator, and he's this great big personality that's bringing all the crowds, and he can kind of replace these 2 people on the side of him because they're just sidekicks. He's a burger, and one person's a drink, the other person's a fries. You can take or leave the fries and the drink. You're here for the burger, and that's not the case. So that's really what kind of annoys me, is that he always is so pro-creator when in reality it doesn't seem to be like he's pro-creator. That's number 1 thought. Number 2. When I originally heard what was going on with the podcast, I kind of thought that Rory and Mal were just employees, because none of us as listeners of the Joe Budden podcast know the background of what's actually going on. If I'm lopsided, I'm sorry. My phone's acting weird. No one knew the backstory of what was going on with them. No one knew what their deal was. And honestly, as listeners, why the hell would we care? Well, we don't care. We just know. We turn on the YouTube, or we're going to Spotify, we turn on YouTube, we're going to Patreon, and ta-da, there's Joe, Roy, and Mal, the people that we love, the 3 Musketeers. We don't care nothing about the background. So Joe is now putting out more and more of this background information that, you know, he owns it, he came up with it, he created it, it's all him, and, you know, they're just kind of like employees, and they don't need to see accounting and this and that. And a lot of loyal listeners kind of went, yeah, okay, well, that makes sense. If Joe owns it, it's Joe's podcast. I mean, it's called the Joe Budden podcast, so of course Joe owns it, and the guys probably shouldn't be asking about accounting. I mean, you wouldn't ask your CEO of your company for accounting, you know, if you just work there as employees. But some of us who are in the digital space, like me, also on podcasts like me, I thought it was a little odd to just call them employees, because most employees don't do the amount of work that Rory and Mal are doing in the creative space. Meaning, they actually are on stage with Joe. They're part of the product. The product is the Joe Budden podcast with Rory and Mal. They're not just employees like maybe the camera guy is, or Savon is, or any of those other guys are. They're actually the talent. They're the talent. There's no better way to put that. So they have to be making a larger portion of money than what a regular employee would be doing, because I'm pretty sure they all have industry connections. I'm pretty sure they're bringing interviews to the table and presenting them to Joe. They're on stage with Joe at different events and venues, and people are coming to see the Joe Budden podcast with Rory and Mal. So that to me was odd. But he kept trying to downplay it, that they couldn't ask for accounting, and how Rory is this weasel, which I think is inappropriate. He brought up how Mal was basically a bum, also inappropriate. That's not how you talk to somebody who worked on your podcast, or even how you talk about a friend in front of other people. That's insane. So fast forward to last night, as I was up doing one of my child's feedings. I had twins. They eat a lot. It's weird. And I saw that the podcast, not a podcast, but a Vimeo video had dropped with Rory and Mal explaining their point of view, and I definitely wanted to hear it. And when they said the word paid partnership, that made sense to me. They are paid partners. They are part of the product. They are Destiny's Child. Joe may be Beyonce, but Michelle and Kelly are Rory and Mal. They go on to perform together. Beyonce or Joe may get more money, but Kelly and Michelle, Rory and Mal are very important. They are what makes it happen. They are why people buy the albums. They have their own group of fans. They have their own fan base. People enjoy them. So them being paid partners makes absolute 1000% sense. So them wanting to see the accounting made sense to me. They should be able to see the accounting of the paid partnership. They should know every single dime of every single piece of money that happens to be coming in, because they know, okay, there was $500,000 this month. That means I get this percentage. Just want to make sure everything's in line. And Rory brought up that there was a $400,000 discrepancy. That is a large discrepancy, and the accounting people admitted, yeah, oops, we made a discrepancy. We got to rectify this. That needs to get fixed, and that makes sense to me. Again, when you are actually a paid partnership or partner in something, you have the right to ask for anything money-wise to make sure that you are getting your fair share. And a $4,000 discrepancy, I would have been a lot more angry. I don't know if Rory and Mal telling the truth about how mad they were or how they handled it, because they might be downplaying that. I would have been mad as hell. Like, nah, y'all need to fix this shit ASAP. But that's neither here nor there. So that makes sense. Also, giving somebody accounting who's a partnership, giving it to them in an Excel sheet, that's not even what you do to employees when they want, when I handle clients. If I just gave clients an Excel sheet of something, they would be so pissed off. Like, bitch, what the fuck is this? This is not what I asked for. I asked for invoices. I need to see invoices of what's coming in and what's going out to make sure that my ad spend is correct, my management fees are correct. Cool. So I get all that stuff together and send it off to them, not an Excel spreadsheet. So that was kind of tacky on whoever sent the Excel spreadsheets part. And again, that causes a bigger issue. Instead of just letting the accountants and lawyers handle it and Joe getting all upset and acting crazy about it, that I feel is what made this worse. Just always in business with friends, always let your lawyers handle it. Always let your accountants handle it. And if your friend comes to you and say, I don't know, so-and-so's handling that, I don't know, I'm not getting involved, they handle it, let the lawyers battle it out, you and I are so cool. I mean, that's the only way that you can maintain a friendship when you're doing something like this, is if you don't get involved personally. And clearly Joe got involved personally by calling out Rory, calling him a measly whatever, calling out Mal. Okay, now you're putting personal things out there. And then Rory made a comment on their response video that Joe was doing inside jokes about Rory's personal life that people didn't know about. That's inappropriate. So now Rory's on gas because he's like, okay, I always have to be defensive because Mal's gonna, I'll call her back as my mother. Mal's always gonna, Joe might come at me. So there's a lot going on. I feel bad because the podcast is such a major brand and they brought so much to the table. And I feel like it's Joe's fault that this ended. Joe is toxic, and maybe not toxic. Joe is aggressive. He comes off as aggressive, and look at all his relationships. The relationships with women, the relationships with people in Love and Hip Hop, the relationship with his old group, the relationships with Eminem, with Diddy. There's so many people that he has, you know, kind of imploded the relationship with and then blamed it on them and took no responsibility. If it happened once or twice, fine, but it's happened in every single thing Joe Budden has been involved with. So now what? Joe is now going to try to replace Rory and Mal with Ice and Ish. I think their names are Ice and Ish, and he's going to put them on salary. And if those idiots take salary, they're punks. If they just take straight salary, they're idiots, and that's on them. Because of being a part of that podcast, with the requirements that there are to be a part of it, you can't go off straight salary. At minimum, you have to do a base rate with bonuses and some kind of profit share to make it work. Maybe not a large profit share, but something. It can't just be base salary. But I'm rambling on. Those are my thoughts. I wanted to stay neutral, but I'm sorry. I agree with Rory and Mal. I'm on their side. I hope they get to start something else. Joe was threatening to sue them and starting the podcast. I hope Joe tries to sue them. And so we can just show that Joe really is not for creators. He's just being an asshole for no reason. So drop them in the comments. Let's get the conversation started. I gotta call my mom back. And I will check you guys later. Like, subscribe to my channel. Find me on Instagram at @KiaGiovanni. Find me on Twitter @KiaShakur. And I will talk to you next time. Bye, guys.